150 different countries. We are proud of our diverse student body, and we believe our differences are what makes us unique.
As student senators, it is our obligation to voice the concerns of the students that we represent. The idea to host this forum began on Sunday night after realizing that these executive orders will have direct negative impacts on the students in our community.
People are scared and don't know what implications these recent events will have on their lives. By the end of these discussions, we are hoping that you are more informed about the current situation in our country and how it affects us locally.
We will be dividing this discussion into 3 parts. First, we will hear from the mayor of Takoma Park, Ms. Kate Stewart, then from Dr. Brad Stewart, who is the vice president and provost of Montgomery College. After that, we will take the time to open the floor to anyone who would like to share how the recent events have impacted them, someone they know, or their family. I would now like to call Student Senator Anj Nagachu to introduce the mayor of Takoma Park, Ms. Kate Stewart.
Good afternoon, y'all. How are you doing today? My name is Anj Nagachu. I'm one of your senators here at Takoma Park. I would like to briefly introduce Mayor Kate Stewart. She is the mayor of Takoma Park City, and also she has been living in Takoma Park for 20 years. She's also the executive vice president of the Advocate for Youth, which empowers young people to make an informed and responsible decision and to advocate on behalf of their rights. Please join me in welcoming our Mayor, Kate Stewart.
Thank you. I have a mic.
Thank you so much, Ms. Stewart, for coming to see us today.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
The first other question, sir, we're going to be giving you these questions. So our first question is, there's been discussions about cutting federal funding from sanctuary cities. So can you start by telling us what a sanctuary city is, and is Takoma Park a sanctuary city?
Great. Well, thank you very much, and thank you for having me here today. I first want to apologize because I'll be scooching out a little early because I have another meeting. But you should always know that I am available at any time to answer any of your questions, concerns, or have a conversation about any of the issues that are affecting us nationally, but most particularly here in our community. So if you go on the Takoma Park website, you can easily find all my information, and I'm happy to always come here to Montgomery College to meet with you. And also, I just had to say that Brad and I are, Provost Stewart and I are no relation to each other. So, all right, so first, a sanctuary city. What is a sanctuary city? Well, there's actually no legal definition of a sanctuary city. Sanctuary city has become known for being a place, particularly a city or a county, an area where the local authorities, in our case in Takoma Park, the police department, as well as anybody who works for the city, will not cooperate with immigration and customs enforcement when it comes to our immigration laws. So what does that actually mean? How does that happen? It means that our police department will not turn anyone over to ICE enforcement if they find that you are undocumented. It means that when someone comes to the city for services, to participate in our rec programs or anything like that, you are never asked your immigration status. In fact, in Takoma Park, if you've lived here in the community and we're having a local election, that means voting for mayor or city council, you can actually vote in our local elections if you are a non-citizen. So you just have to live in the community to vote here. And the reason that we are a sanctuary city and we have these policies is because we believe it's very important to have an inclusive community where everyone feels welcome, respected, and that they can live their lives with dignity. And the policies that are now being put forth by the current administration are ones that we see as tearing apart families, having people live in fear, and will cause actually our communities to be less safe than to be safe. Because when people do not trust or have respect for their local law enforcement or the people who work in their city governments, that creates unsafe, unstable communities. And my job as the mayor is to make sure we have a healthy, thriving community for everyone. That might be a little longer than you wanted.
Under current executive orders, no refugees will be allowed into the United States for the next 4 months. So, does the city of Tacoma Park have the ability to refrain from complying with this?
Well, that's a good question. I'm not sure we can get people into the country, though I'm always figuring out ways to do things. I do know, I will say that last November, not this past one, the one before that, our city council was brand new. I had just been elected mayor, and we had new people elected on our city council. And the very first act we took as a city council was to pass a resolution welcoming Syrian refugees to our city. As you may recall, at that time, many people were critical of President Obama and what he had been talking about in having Syrian refugees come to the country. And in fact, our own governor, Governor Hogan, had made comments saying he did not want Syrian refugees coming into Maryland, even though he has no authority on that point. So the city of Tacoma Park, we passed a resolution saying Syrian refugees are welcome in our community. We had a residence committee that was set up at that time to help facilitate having refugees placed in our community. But we're still evaluating what these new executive orders will mean for those efforts.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your answer. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Would the executive order change anything that the local police is doing at this point?
No,
Okay.
absolutely not. It will change. We are doing the same thing we have done. In fact, our sanctuary city policy has been in place about 30 years. We've been a sanctuary city since the mid-1980s, and we did that because of the refugees that were coming from Guatemala and El Salvador because of the civil wars there. And so we plan to change nothing. Okay? That's it? All right. Oh, can I plug one thing before I go? If you want to talk more about sanctuary cities, I'll leave the flyers up here, but we are having an event at the Community Center on Maple Avenue to discuss more about sanctuary cities. So I can give you that. Thank you.
Can we get one more round of applause for the mayor of Tacoma Park? At this time, I would like to welcome Dr. Brad Stewart to the stage, who is the Vice President and Provost for Montgomery College.
Before you ask me a question, I'm here on behalf of Dr. Darian Pollard, president of the college.
Now that she's here.
Well, I was going to tell you we were in Annapolis doing your usual wonderful job of testifying for more funds for Montgomery College, which means tuition stays low, we can buy more equipment and facilities, and build a new building once in a while. So, and she's the most effective advocate in all of Maryland for community colleges.
Oh.
So we can answer these questions together.
So the first question of the day from our administrator, is, so about 6,000 students at Montgomery College are non-citizens or international students or have an F1 visa. We have 170 students from Iran, 22 from Iraq, 12 from Syria, 5 from Somalia, 4 from Sudan, and 2 from Yemen, making a total of 215 students who identify with the 7 countries that are placed in the refugee ban. Sorry for my papers. So my question today is, how would the refugee ban affect their stay at Montgomery College, and would they be able to continue studies in the future semesters?
So if you're here, you're here. You're in a sanctuary city. You're in a county with sanctuary tendencies, I guess is the best way to put it. I think one of the largest effect it might have on the students who are already here is plans to travel back to their home country to see family and friends. My advice right now is don't go, and at least for 4 months until they get some of this sorted out. And the other thing is I want to make sure that everybody sort of takes a deep breath about what's going on here. I know this is going to cause trouble for some people's families, or a lot of people's families at the college. But you guys need to stay focused on your grades and your studies. This is a unfortunate distraction created by the administration. So you guys are students first, and then I love the fact that you're putting things like this together because I know you're learning a lot in activities outside the classroom. Pete?
Well, thank you, Dr. Stewart. First of all, let me just, I love the context that you set for the question because I think it's very powerful for everyone to understand. Montgomery College has a 70-year history of ensuring that we advance equity and access. And we're very proud of the fact that about 28% of our students at Montgomery College identify as international students. We're probably unlike most community colleges in the country, and we're one of the most diverse. I think we're the 7th highest ranked college campus, community colleges that have the number of international students that we have. So as a result of that, we have deep competency in making sure that we provide supportive environments and services that support students to be successful. In addition to the 215 students, we have, just in that number, all students, all of the 7 countries that are part of the ban, only one country, Libya, that we don't have students from. And what I think is provocative about that is that we are America in miniature. We are what America is becoming, and as a result of that, we're going to spend a lot of time supporting these types of forums for conversation. In addition to that, we have about 11 employees of the college who are working here who are from those countries as well. So we're spending a lot of time thinking about how we can support them as well. I'd echo what Dr. Stewart said. At this particular point, and what I'm telling myself in my own political advocacy is to take a deep breath. Because I think at this moment there's a lot of things happening around us, and I'm of the opinion that this isn't how it's going to stay. So we have to be very thoughtful about how we react so that we don't overreact, and while we're overreacting, we miss something else that needs to be paid attention to. So we're going to be very thoughtful about that as an organization. The other thing that I would say is that it's important to focus on your studies because we want you to maintain the academic requirements to be here at the college and let you, those particularly for visa issues, we know that's very important. The other thing that we're going to be very thoughtful about is for us is at the end of the semester, how can we help those students? And we don't know that yet. There haven't been a lot of information that's come out to help guide us in that conversation. I think the online courses are things that people, if they have to leave at some point, I think is very important to be thoughtful about how you might be able to supplement your course taking with online courses, which you may be able to access if you're in a different part of the country or the world for that matter. So those are some of the things we'll be thinking about. I do know that these types of forums are critical for that type of dialogue for us to figure out some of those ideas.
Thank you.
Well, one additional thing, be assured and make sure you sleep at night knowing that we got your back.
Yeah.
We won't let anything happen to any of our students.
Yeah.
Thank you. Montgomery College receives funding from both the county and the state, and many of our students receive federal aid via the FAFSA program. How would the taking away of federal funds impact our school and the cost of tuition for both citizens and non-citizens?
Yeah, I think that one of the reasons why we're being very cautious and thoughtful about this, because that type of impact can be devastating for the institution. We know that a growing number of our students receive some form of federal financial aid, state aid as well, institutional opportunities as well. So it's very thoughtful for us that as we become active in the advocacy and the dialogue, that we understand what those impacts can be. Right now, we simply don't know that. There's not enough information that's coming out. All we know is the ban went in place on Friday, and all of a sudden now we're still trying to figure out what that looks like. I do know for a fact that our Board of Trustees at the college is very thoughtful about these issues. In fact, they've been talking about them prior to us even this executive order coming out. I know that they'll be continuing to do so this month. In fact, making a statement about that at the board meeting in February. So we do know that if somehow federal dollars were removed from the college for whatever reason, it would have a devastating impact. We are not in a position, though, to see that happen. I believe that as a college, we're well positioned for the things that are coming down the line.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your questions. We're done with the questioning.
All right. Thank you.
At this point, we have an open discussion. The floor is open to anyone who has a question or would like to share how their life or someone they know has been affected by the ban. The Student Senate is open to ideas on ways in which we can unite and work together in aiding foreign students. We understand that this is a serious topic, but I really appreciate if we could keep the language appropriate. Thank you. So any questions, discussions, personal experiences? Don't be shy.
Let me do something here, real quick. So I'm Don Moores. I was invited here. I'm an immigration attorney. I do a lot of work for the college, for your faculty and staff on the immigration attorney. So we are all, as immigration attorneys throughout this area and throughout the country, we are scrambling very much in the same way that all of you are in trying to understand what's going on. I think what President Pollard and what Provost Stewart said about taking a deep breath is exactly where we are right now. So the facts are these. The 7 countries that were identified, there are no entry for those individuals coming in on non-immigrant visas or others unless you're a green card holder coming into the United States or a U.S. citizen born and you're an American citizen. And likely, if you're a citizen, if you're born in one of the 7 countries and you're a citizen of another country coming here to the United States. So you're a refugee from Iraq, you're now a Swedish citizen. It says that you were born in Iraq in your passport, but you have a Swedish passport. We have been assured by Customs and Border Protection that you're fine coming into the United States. What happens after these 90 days? I don't know. None of us know. None of us know whether this list of countries will be expanded or will remain the same. What's going to happen with refugees? So the 7 countries, it's 90 days. The refugees, it's 120 days. Furthermore, there still is a great deal of empowerment by the Border Patrol, by CBP. The president was very, very evocative, I should say, during his campaign about giving power to individuals within CBP and also within ICE. He just changed the ICE head yesterday, and we don't know what that means. Up to now, that is, different things in internal enforcement have largely been left to individuals who have been criminals or others who have come into the radar for lots and lots of immigration violations. We don't know what the situation is. We don't know what the situation is with DACA, with the Deferred Action Program, that so many Montgomery College students have been able to take advantage of and have been able to live in a bubble. Right now, there is one of these executive orders in draft that was leaked that discussed that the executive order, when the next one's coming out, will be the ending of DACA. But that those work cards, those EADs that have been issued, will be allowed to continue on until their expiration dates, that they won't pull the DACA from individuals. So just to fill in the gaps, I don't know if this is helpful, but it's just, and their attorneys, the nice thing right now is within the advocacy groups, immigrant advocacy groups, immigration attorneys, and I think so many attorneys in this community across the district in Maryland and Virginia who don't practice immigration law. All of us are getting calls about how do we help? How do we understand a little bit more about immigration law so that we can participate as well? And so this is really captured a deep community spirit and greatly offensive to so many folks in terms of how we should do things, that I think as Provost Stewart said, no one is going to be, or the college is not going to let anybody behind. They'll be with you. And there's a lot of advocates that will be around. It's just to stay in coordination to make sure with communities, with universities, colleges, and others, to make sure that we have as strong a safety net as possible. So.
I have a question.
We have a question from the floor. By the way, that is a very cool dress. I spent 6.5 years in Africa. I feel like, where are you from, Richard?
I'm from Cameroon.
Cameroon. You all know that Cameroon is Africa in miniature, don't you? Just like Montgomery College is the world in miniature, Cameroon is Africa in miniature. French, English, the mountains, the grasslands, great animals. I mean, it's, so when you see her, you see greatness. So.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Also, my question is, I know you spoke about ICE and DACA, but there's some people here who are citizens and they've never had to go through
Yeah.
that knowledge, go through that research of finding out what those companies do. So can you just give us a brief, like, description of what those companies do and what they're in charge of? Thank you.
All right, so Homeland Security, when the reorganization of the Immigration and Naturalization Service, INS, was split up after 9/11, was split up into 4 parts. The Judiciary Department, the Attorney General oversees the court system, the immigration court system. And then internal enforcement is called Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. ICE. The Border Patrol, the individuals who see you at the airports when you're coming in and are so nice, trying to figure out whether you're here, friend or foe, that's called Customs and Border Protection, CBP. And then the benefits people who are processing F1 visas, optional practical training, when you then move on and get your H1Bs and green cards and citizenship and all that stuff, they are the benefits folks, and that is U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. So you have the 3 legs within and this is all under Homeland Security, these 3 are ICE, CBP, and USCIS. DACA is Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, sometimes referred to loosely as the DREAM Act. It was the effort by President Obama, frustrated by his inability to be able to get things through Congress, of not wanting to have immigration reform go through. He said, what can I do? And what he did was this. He said that a certain group of individuals, children who had come here with their parents, had been here at least 5 years, had arrived by June of 2012 was the date. If they were here and then now 2000, by 2007, they were here by 2012, been here for 5 years, at least 15 years of age, they would be able to apply for DREAM Act, for this DACA. And the idea in this is that over here are all these kids. They couldn't have a police record, they couldn't have any involvement in any way of anything that would be looking like they might have been involved in any kind of criminal activity. Well, we don't really have to worry about them because over here, and President Pollard, I apologize for putting you in with the criminals. Over here are bad people. And so it's a real waste of resources if we're looking at all these people who've done nothing except they're here studying. They're brought here by their parents. They are, many of them, valedictorians and working hard, and they don't know the country of their birth. They're American kids. It's a real, it harms our country's ability to go after people who do bad things if we're also thinking about going after all of these folks too who are just doing great things. So what DACA did was it put a giant bubble around these folks, and now about 700,000 people have bubbles. And unfortunately, they may pop. It was one of the things that in the presidential election, President Trump talked about as being a great grab by President Obama. Didn't have a right to do that, of putting a bubble around it. It was in Congress's bailiwick. Congress was the only entity that could do that the president overreached. Well, the courts found with the president on this, the president then tried to expand it a little bit, and a court in Texas knocked him down and said it wasn't overreach. But that's what DACA is, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals DREAM Act.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any questions? There's somebody over here with a question.
Okay. I do have a question now. I see they handed out the executive order here on the students for the border security and immigration enforcement improvements. As one of the documents, and I kind of read through it, and I see where certain things are lined out here, but basically I'm like on an email list for certain senators and representatives in Congress, and I've kind of been getting emails about other things. For example, I heard, other ways to, impact the immigrant and the non-immigrant community here. So a lot of people don't know a person can still come from another country here, but not be considered an immigrant. They could be like a non-immigrant, like F1 student is a non-immigrant, or HB1 visa person. And I did see where HB1 visas, they were talking about if companies were gonna bring people here to work, they had to pay at least like $130,000, which is more than double or triple what they had to pay before. So like Indians that are here that are working, many of them in the high-tech sector that have those kind of visas are terrified that they're not gonna be here anymore. And then I heard some people that were here like on, I don't know if it's visitor visas or whatever, and their country may have charged a certain amount of money to, let's put it like this. I'm understanding there's something called a reciprocity law, where if America is allowing you to come here for 2 years for a certain amount of money, your country had better be having some kind of rule that's similar, or else, you know, that could be taken away. So it seems like the things that are kind of anti-immigrant are kind of just spattered all over the place. So I'm not sure partly where to look, because it's not here in this document, because it says border security and immigration enforcement improvements.
Well, let me just real quick hit on that. First of all, there are, if you look at immigration, it's like a game of Foursquare. There's immigrant and non-immigrant, so coming permanently and then coming temporarily. And then it's either family-based or employment-based. And then there's refugees on the sides and this and that. But what you talked about on the non-immigrant side is a number of things. One, the H-1B visa is professional and you need to have a degree and all of this. And the issue comes in from the president's side and from a lot of liberal Democrats as well, is are folks coming in to do the jobs in computers and all of that, IT, are those folks taking away jobs from Americans? And that's a battle. And do you increase the funds there for the cost of the visas? Do you make a minimum amount of a salary there? That will all be determined by Congress. That's down the road. These are all proposals. Reciprocity is something that is very important in diplomacy, and in visa diplomacy especially. That if a country will only grant an American a 3-month-long visa to do something in their country, visit or be a journalist or be a professional athlete or what have you, then under reciprocity, we will only give that country a 3-month visa for those same things. And that's a little angular. What I think you're talking about is the reciprocity. If countries will not take people back, we won't let their people come into the United States. So remember these bad people over here? Bad people, BAD, over here. So there are countries that won't accept their folks coming back to their countries if we're deporting them for a crime. Just won't do it. So I think what you're talking about is trying to make sure in reciprocity, one part of it is that if they won't take back bad people or they will be deported, then it's going to adversely affect our desire to want to bring people from their country in. The other part is the reciprocity in terms of the timing and other things for the visas. It's sort of loosely discussed in the reciprocity discussions that I've seen up to now. But that's what reciprocity is. It's called tit for tat, basically.
Yeah, I saw a lot of that, and I saw people that were upset because they said some people are students or whatever. They said they have family members that could be caught up in this stuff, and they don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
So,
and again, I think going back to what Provost Stewart said, it's when you're out of the country wanting to knock on the door, and that's what a visa is basically say, okay, I've got the ability to knock on the door. That's the visa. Once you're in status. You're here, you've got either immigrant status or out. So it's important to understand that the visa, whenever anybody's talking about a visa, it's when you're outside the U.S. trying to get in. It's not involved with what's happening when you're inside the United States. You don't need a visa to be in the United States. You need to be, if you want to be in valid status, you just need to continue your status as a student or something else. I don't want to turn this into an immigration seminar. I can't give you a resource, but here, take this away from me.
Thank you for the information. Do we have anybody else who would like to share anything? It could be how it's affected you, your friend, family, how somebody outside of the country is feeling right now. Don't be shy. Yes.
had a question.
I recently came across a woman, can you hear me? I recently came across a woman who had been verbally assaulted for wearing a dump Trump button in Sligo Creek Park. And we called the police, Tacoma Park Police, and they came but said there was nothing they could do. I've since done a little bit of research, and I think there is something called hate speech. And I wonder if the police are up to par with all the changes and nuances of the new situation.
Our police department absolutely understands hate speech, and so if you could follow up with me on more of the specifics about that, if there may be a number of things, because in Sligo Creek, our police department, that's Montgomery County Parks. That's actually not within. Yeah, so it might have been a misunderstanding about that, but that's no excuse for not providing more information to you about where to follow up. So I will say this directly to you and to anyone else in here. If you ever have an interaction with anyone in our police department or anyone who represents the city of Tacoma Park, please contact me immediately. It is not acceptable and it will be dealt with. But I need the information and I need to be told that it happened. And so people can call, email, it can be confidential, but I need to know, because if we don't know, we can't deal with the situation. So if you'd like to follow up with me and give me more of the details, I can follow up with our police department and make sure it doesn't happen again.
Thank you, thank you. Does anybody have any questions, concerns?
My name is Frank. I'm with the Student Senate. I'm American born, but my parents are from Peru, so I am a son of immigrant parents. I've been informed not too long ago that even if you have a green card, let's say you're going on vacation, if by any chance you get detained by any immigration officials and they make you sign that form I-407, do not sign it. That it's to resign your legal status. Just so you guys know.
Franco, what was that called?
It is the form I-407. If you or anyone that you know is traveling outside of the country and by any chance on the way back they're detained by immigration officials, do not sign that form. That will be to resign your legal status.
It's officially to relinquish your green card. You've decided you've advocated your permanent residency.
Yes.
So one of the things that was this part of the confusion this weekend was apparently a number of CBP officers were putting this I-407, which is the application to relinquish permanent residency, to individuals from one of the 7 countries who were lawful permanent residents coming in. And so you have to, at a very high level, say, hey, I am voluntarily giving up my green card. And normally it's something that you just say, really? You really want to do that? Yes, I really want to do that. I mean, back and forth. It's something that's very difficult to do because it's such an important thing that you work so hard to get your permanent residency. But so that is one of the things that was supposedly cleaned up this weekend through various court cases, but it is a wonderful thing to remember. If you see anything that has a 407 on it, stay away from it. Yeah.
Thank you. Question?
That I-407, okay, so the thing is that I know that it was cleaned up by the court cases, but what if there are people that proceed to defy that order? Because I understand that at Dulles Airport, when even the order from the judge, federal judge, went out on certain things, the Customs and Border Patrol people seemed to kind of be unaware, and several hours later they finally did so, but I understood that Senator Cory Booker had to go there with the document from the federal judge and show it to the people, and he says, now that you see this, you know, if you continue to do this, then it will have to be understood that you're doing it despite the fact that this order has been put down, that you cannot do this to these people. So, I mean, realistically, should we expect that the people who are in positions like Customs and Border Patrol will definitely obey what's put, like the order from the federal judge in Virginia, or are some people just gonna continue to go ahead and do whatever they want to do anyway, because they think they can get away with it and they're empowered to?
Okay, I'm up again. So I think it's all the more important that one has lots of copies of one's lawful documents, status documents, and have them in different places. And so you have one, and you know, so if something does happen and you're in this situation, that somebody has a copy of your green card and can get it. Because the case, and this is what a number of my law professors around the country, and I teach at Catholic, I teach immigration law there, is that there are a number of lawsuits that are being developed, and we're all trying to figure this out again, is the voluntary nature of the relinquishment is missing if CBP is over you and saying you must sign this. But you have to have proof that you were a green card holder to get to that point. So make copies, try to make sure that people know where you're going and coming, and that's about all we can do right now, and have phone numbers of people who are going to come to your rescue.
All right, I would like to call Anj Nagachu to come, and she is going to let us know about how this executive order affected her. My apologies.
Personally, this affects me because my grandmother is sick currently, and it's a little bit harder for me and my family because it's only me and my mom right now supporting ourselves. And usually it will be my grandfather and my grandmother because they adopted me. And my grandfather left to my country for some business. And he was supposed to be back already. But because of all what's going on, the airport and everything, it's just like a little bit harder for him to come back. And for him to know that his wife is in the hospital sick and I barely can, pay the rent and stuff like that, he's just like, man, my child is suffering. So it's just like, it's an emotional, yet again, troubling moment for my family and I. And I know that like almost all of y'all can relate. Maybe if you have family out of state right now, y'all can relate to that. And I just wanted to know that y'all not alone. Like, not even, it's not only, how can I say this? I'm a student as you are. I might be a senator, but I can't relate to what's going on. So I really want you to tell me what I can do, me and my fellow senators, what we can do to help you, like, feel a little bit better somehow. So anybody want to share, talk?
So I know like our last speaker, our head of security, said something about how if we give this to next semester, it's probably going to be over. And that's what we keep saying, let's wait it out. But my question is like, why are we so sure this executive orders are not still going to keep persisting? Everybody's shaking their head, but nobody's saying anything, so don't shake your head. How are we so sure, like, by next semester, half of this room will not be empty? Because everybody's sitting down, nobody has suggestions to make of what we can do as a community. So any suggestions, please?
Can I make a Brian? Suggestion.
Hi, my name is Brian. I'm also a student senator, but for a suggestion is possibly how can we as students, and we have the power to be heard at the Montgomery campus, what can we do so that to constantly be kept informed about his policies? How could we support the campus and unite as students of this campus to constantly be involved on policies and orders that he creates?
Good evening.
Hello.
My name is Clement Solomon. I'm the college-wide dean for student engagement at Tacoma Park, Silver Spring Dean of Student Affairs. First of all, I want to commend our student leaders for this very, very informative session. Let's give them a round of applause. Outstanding program. I'm not a student, but I often learn from my students. And one of the things that I would like to suggest is that you continue to have these information sessions. They are very, very informative. They provide very significant information that will empower our students to have a successful experience. I mean, we are a welcoming college. I think Dr. Pollard has already conveyed that. So we want to encourage you to continue having these kinds of activities going forward. I would also suggest that for F1 students, if you plan to leave the country, even for an emergency reason, do not leave unless you have met with the International Student Coordinator. We have one on all 3 campuses right here at Tacoma Park, Silver Springs. It's Vita Bansu. We have Mr. Vallejo at Rockville, and there's Heidi, and I'm blanking on her last name, but Heidi at the Germantown campus. These are the individuals that you will consult with first before you do anything associated with leaving the country. So it's a very, very important point. The second thing is to ensure that your visa and your passport are current at all times. At all times. And lastly, we have a wealth of materials that we are going to be providing students in terms of resources, immigrant services. Montgomery County has a lot of resources. I was going to ask our legal mind here about free legal services as well. So perhaps he'll come back to the mic to talk about free legal services for immigrants and F1 students and so on and so forth. So those are just some initial things. We also have counseling offices on all 3 campuses to provide support in that regard. So please use the resources that we currently have. And again, I want to commend our student leaders, Student Senate, and our Student Life Office and our faculty who've been working with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Solomon. At this time,
Thank you. My name is Thomas Nephew, and I'm not a student on campus. I wanted to respond to a question about what people can do, because I'm with a Montgomery County activist group, Montgomery County Civil Rights Coalition, and there are things that we're working on right now, trying to, for instance, support a Rockville initiative to become a sanctuary city. I got here late, so I don't know if that was mentioned by Mayor Stewart. We're also in touch with the Muslim Community Center. We're at a very excellent event there where the Arab American Anti-Discrimination Committee had made available a one-page item about fact sheets about the visa and travel ban. That's an easy read and a good summary by lawyers, and I'd be happy to share that with you all afterwards, and maybe you can disseminate that along with everything else that's going on. I also have some information about our group that I can pass out as little leaflets. I don't know what the rules are in that respect, but I'm happy to share outside the room.
Thank you.
I would definitely be interested in partnering with you, sir, so seeing how the Student Senate and you can work together. Thank you for that. And now I'm going to give the floor over to Dr. Vincent Nantandi, who is a professor on the Tacoma Park campus.
Thank you. Thank you, and thanks to the students for hosting this. Montgomery College was going to make a big announcement in a couple weeks, but it seems like this event and this forum and what the students did, there's kind of no better time to start discussing this. Very shortly, within the next month, we will officially be launching our Institute for Race, Justice, and Community Engagement at Montgomery College. This has been years in the making with a lot of support, but the most important thing is so many students had wanted something like this, which is why we moved forward. And just very briefly, and you'll be hearing much more about this in the community and at the school, is there are essentially three main pillars to this institute. The first is, which relates to what we're talking about today, on all campuses we will be providing an actual physical space, a safe space for our students all of our students who are interested in equality, in race, in justice, and having a place where we can discuss these things, not just at a forum, but any time that you need that. The second pillar will be to make sure we are providing as faculty and staff, as administrators, everything humanly possible we can do for our students to achieve the promise, to make sure they are getting help with picking out classes and transferring and tutoring and anything we can do to make sure they're successful in the classroom. And the third piece, which relates to what we've just been talking about, is the community and civic engagement piece. So many of my students consistently ask me how they can be active in the community. What can they do in the community? And we will create the hub to work with organizations like yourselves to provide the legal services that we need. So that if students want to know where there's an alternative spring break, how they can volunteer in the community at a refugee center or a DACA center, if there is an event going on, this will be the place where they'll actually be able to get all that information. So we're extremely excited. It's been a huge labor of love, and we are so we're so hopeful that this is going to be a good thing for our students. It will be on all three campuses. It will start here at Tacoma Park and then grow from there. So I just want to make sure you'll be hearing more about it, but that we're going to be bringing this to our students very shortly. Thank you.
So we had an opportunity of having an immigration professor here, and he has just 5 minutes. So I know we have a lot of F1 students sitting in the room. I know some of them personally. So if you have any questions to ask, they say opportunity comes just once in a lifetime. So he has 5 minutes.
Yeah, so we just didn't say anything. And also, real quick before, in terms of the free legal services, there are so many people who want to be of assistance. And one thing, Dean DeSalis right now is one of my students at Catholic, and when he heard I mentioned to my class that I've been invited to be here, they said, well, we want someone to be here. And my class wants to set up a clinic, I believe, here, and then bring in lawyers, quite a few immigration law students from Catholic, past and present. And would that be something that'd be helpful for people who could then talk about their own issues and privacy and all that stuff? So Dean, I think, talking with Dean Salman and with Dean Provost Stewart, would be glad to follow up after I leave. In a thing like this, everybody's got their own individual issues, that it's difficult to talk about your own individual issues in a group. But the one thing that you all have coming together in this most diverse, most wonderful of institutions, Montgomery College, especially the Tacoma Park campus, but all the campuses, is that you have one another. And to the degree that you don't know the person who sits next to you in classes, to reach out and say, hello, how are you? Especially somebody who's different from you. That's the most important thing that's needed right now, is to understand what is it that is so good about this place. What is so good about diversity that makes us stronger as a nation, stronger as a community, stronger as a college, but especially in the place stronger in our role within the world. And while diversity is and plurality and all these things are taking a bad rap right now in the politics of this. It's sort of piling on. And it's up to those who believe in it to stand up and to say, what are you missing? What is good about it? We have a U.S. Senator, a brand new U.S. Senator from Montgomery County in Congress who is phenomenal, Chris Van Hollen. We've got a phenomenal member of Congress who's your Tacoma Park neighbor, Jamie Raskin, and others, and Ben Cardin and others, who would love to hear your positive story about why diversity, why Montgomery College, why we should be, in a positive note, be continuing to have a country that is that is inclusive as possible, and why it's important in Maryland and Montgomery County and spread out. And so I would say the most important thing that any of you can do is stick together and to ensure that you know one another as well as possible, and to understand every single person who comes to this country has a story. Every person whose parents came to this country and they were born in this country has a story through their parents and their grandparents. We all have stories. And the more that you understand one another's stories, the better you're going to be as individuals and the stronger you're going to be as a community. And so what you can do from here is look left, look right, and understand one another so we're stronger. And then and work with others as you're spreading out and helping this. So I wish you luck, and I applaud the Student Senate for putting this on. Thank you.
You have a question, or we still taking questions?
Just real briefly, following up on that, I'm Roberto Rodriguez, and on behalf of our county executive, Ike Leggett, rather than repeating what has been said, please know that Montgomery County, county executive, council members are all there with you, for you as well. Here in Silver Spring, Tacoma Park, many of you come to downtown Silver Spring and enjoy what Silver Spring is, to Tacoma Park, to Langley Park, Long Branch, and we really want you to know that our police department is here for you, with you, that our elected officials, Ike Leggett, the council members, are here with you, for you. And I really invite you to stay connected with what's going on in your neighborhood, not just to your right and to your left, but to actually check out silverspringdowntown.com and subscribe to our community newsletter that shares all that is going on, and much of it you might be interested in, silverspringdowntown.com. So on behalf of Mr. Ike Leggett and our county council, we are here with you. Okay, so thank you.
I have something brief to say. So when our lawyer, the professor was walking out through the door, I kind of noticed something. So when I said one last question, nobody asked for his contact information. And it's just an observation as a student. You asked, that was for you personally. Imagine if you stood up to raise your hand to ask for the whole hall. So we're still talking about the whole idea of community. And we see how in our daily lives, we ourselves fail to represent that right in the present. So it's just a correction. So I would just want to say, as we walk out of this door, we're not closing it, but think about the next person next to you. You got the information for yourself, but maybe you didn't need the information as much as the next person next to you. So just think about that, reflect on it.
And if anyone needs his contact information, I'm Ms. Kimberly Herrera, I'm the Director of Student Life. Please see me afterwards because I'll be short information and pass that along. So thank you so much, Dan. And I think Carol has a student who has a question.
Three questions? Three questions.
Hi, I'm Dr. Lorraine Hutchins, and I teach here. And in my class, I'm always announcing events. We announced that yesterday in class. And we were discussing, that whole, if you see something, say something. First of all, I have to say, you all make me cry, you make me proud. I'm so glad to be here. I love that we're doing this. And is the guy from security still here, Mr. Sharp? My question to him or to Dr. Stewart would be, okay, if we see something happening on campus, because this is what we were discussing yesterday in our class, and we didn't finish the discussion, but the discussion was, hey, if we see something that looks weird, who do we call first?
There it is. Here's the entire question, but who do you call if you see something weird such as?
Somebody's got an ice jacket on.
Okay, if you want to call somebody, if somebody's got an ice jacket on, you're questioning whether they actually are a federal law enforcement officer, okay? Every office has a SAC, an agent in charge. Somebody's in charge of the office, we all have an office number. It's like somebody just wearing a police jacket, you don't know who they are. They're also supposed to have credentials. Federal credentials are very recognizable. They're all kind of the same, badges are different, and what's on them, right? and you can really take a close look at it and tell what it is. Usually, most folks aren't acting alone, they're usually with somebody, and if they're doing something in mass, they usually let the local law enforcement know about it, whether it's cooperative or not, they always let us know about it. Just so you know they're in the area in case something jumps off and they need help, they have backup. So they usually don't do it alone. And if you really think somebody isn't on the up and up, call local police. All right? If you think somebody's impersonating an officer or impersonating a federal agent, state police, or anything else, so they can show some sort of identification.
Actual ICE person maybe being here, who do we call? Okay, does that person have authority to come in here and do something without maybe checking in with security or?
It would depend, if they have a warrant, okay? It would depend if they're looking for somebody in particular. You know, I know back in the day, immigration used to go to places where you would normally find undocumented aliens and, you know, see who ran, basically. But, because they're still doing what is in their frame of what it is they're supposed to do. They are supposed to find people who are in violation of immigration law. That's part of what they do. But there are also some criminal things that they investigate. Also, and generally they have a tendency to look more of those criminal investigations, human trafficking investigations, those type of things are really, for most of these offices, more important than simple immigration cases. For those people in ICE that I know and talk to in dealing with just cases recently.
Thank you.
Just real quick, two things. One, I think there's a lot of faculty and staff, and I'm appreciative that we're all speaking, including myself, but I really want to hear from a lot of the students right now and what their thoughts are and what we can do for you. The second is, there's a lot of hate out there right now in this room. There's been essentially nothing but love for the last hour, which has been really incredible. Let's be very, very clear. Nobody's an alien. They're undocumented human beings. And let's just go forward with that and that one unifying principle, okay?
Hi, my name is Lena. I am a MC alum, and I'm currently attending University of Maryland. And I'm also Muslim. I am a dreamer, and I am an immigrant of this country. I just want to say thank you so much for putting this together. I remember the day that Donald Trump was elected, the day after. I thought I woke up in a different country. I thought America was not what I thought it was. I saw a different side of this country that spoke up. And I thought that I was panicking. I didn't sleep the night before, and it was terrible. But when we come together like this, this makes me feel like I'm not excluded. You know, I matter. The way that the current administration are speaking and the way that they're reacting, it makes me scared. I'm shaking right now because I don't even know what to say. I don't even know how to express myself. But you guys have been asking us what you think that you should do. I honestly think that we should form a protest against this, because there have been a lot of protests around the country, but if it comes from the community, it feels more personal. It feels more like we're in this together. So yeah, that's my suggestion.
James. I'm from Sierra Leone. So in response to what you said, I recently just found out if you want to protest legally, you actually have to get a permit, or else if you don't, the law, it's actually lawful for somebody to stop you. So I feel like if you guys want to help us out, and if you guys really want to show the city of Tacoma or Silver Spring in general, if you actually want to do that, if you can like organize a rally or something like that, a protest, and if you get us like legal permits, and we could take like one Saturday out of our schedules, and we could all, come to migrate to the campus and then walk around downtown Silver Spring, that might help. But I feel like if we don't do something like that, it's gonna be visual, and we just sitting like, within these walls and just talk about ideas that may never materialize or, get to like somebody who can actually do something. Because let's be honest, Donald Trump is president, and his word is bond, basically. So I feel like if we can do something like that, that might just work.
We can help you with that. Okay?
Just brief, we can definitely help you with that. And we can do it legally within the bounds of civility. We have had major, some of you might have come out months back to a major celebration for our diversity and inclusion that our county is in downtown Silver Spring, there on Veterans Plaza. And we would be happy to work with you if it's a march, if it's whatever comes from you. We're here to help you make it happen, okay?
How's it going, everyone? My name is Joshua Briggs. My mother's from Ethiopia and my father's from Milwaukee, so I have like mixed kind of emotion about this, but that's not really what I came to say. I took Anthony's course, and I can also say that course changed my life. But one thing that I did learn in that course was, as you said earlier, history does tend to repeat itself, And I don't want to sound like a pessimist or anything, but every damn year people are just protesting and being silent and just getting slapped in the face and just turning the other cheek, And I think it comes down to money and economics, When King took the black dollars out of the Montgomery bus boycott, they got on their hands and knees and said, what can we do for you guys, And I think that the more we stop just letting them find new places to smack us in the face, let's ask, what controls this situation, And it's the money. It's the money that we put into these stores. It's the money that we put into all these companies. Let's be honest, they don't give one shit about us, Sorry, but that's honest, And the more we put funding our oppressors, what do you expect is going to happen? Donald Trump is doing everything he said he was going to do. I mean, literally, like he literally said, I'm going to do it, and did it. And people are surprised, like, oh my God. It's like, wake up. It's like, wake up, We just got to be real. We're all adults in this room, are humans. And if we want the next generation to be affected with so much positivity, we got to start asking, where do we put our dollars? What are we funding? We really got to start boycotting these companies. Like, you know what? I'm not going to shop at Walmart, Straight up. And if y'all just want to keep talking that type of stuff, y'all can definitely do it, But then we'll see what happens in the next 50 years. We could be doing the same thing again, rerun it, yeah. So, I mean, that's just my opinion. I wasn't like a pessimist, but nobody has said that, and I know every single one of y'all are feeling it. That's why I didn't say nothing. I just don't want to look like a pessimist, but hey, man, I'm a person, I'm a servant of this,
So I was about to talk, and then they gave him the mic, and I think it was like a perfect. So I know like most of the time when it comes to situations like this, we're all thinking about like, what do I have to lose? I'm here standing, I'm like, if I'm caught at a protest, like, and they send my name to the pharmacy schools I'm applying to, I'm not even gonna get it. So we're always thinking about what we have to lose on the other side. So I come from Cameroon. Cameroon is bilingual. So it's just a brief of what is happening. So majority of the country is French and minority is English. So the Anglophones have been marginalized for a long time. We work on the plantations, everything gets shipped to France. sorry. But right now, Cameroon is going through a boycott. The Anglophones have refused to work on the plantations. They have refused to go to work. So Monday and Tuesday, I just had a fast because a lot of them are getting killed by the military. So they've decided to stop working. So Anglophones stopped going to school. They stopped working on the plantations, like I said. They stopped going to work. Basically, this year has been declared a whiteout for Cameroon because they're declaring their rights, they're declaring their liberty, they're declaring that they're people and they have rights, and they're declaring their respect. So I know at the back of our heads we have a lot to lose when we protest, but think about what you have to lose down the line and what you have to lose now. So I'm not telling anybody to go do anything, I'm just telling my story, so don't say I said anything, please. So just think about that. It's that we need a stand, we need to make a stand. Before we're sitting here together and having this diverse community, some people had to make a stand. Some people had to walk for miles because they refused to take buses. Some people had to shut businesses down. So I'm a student senate, and I ran for this position not because I needed to put it on my resume, but because I believe in the people. I believe in the students of Montgomery College. I believe in the students of Takoma Park. So because I believe they stand for something other than themselves. They have this like misconception that African people are very like individualistic, but my country, Cameroon, has proven to me, like I know they're starving right now because they cannot go to the farm, but they know what is down the line. They know that the struggle is worth it. So I just want all of us to sleep and think of it. You might be a citizen, so you don't have anything to worry about, but your next door neighbor isn't. So let's come out of our self-absorbed identity and think about your neighbor. Think about the person sitting next to you. Maybe you might be sitting next to an F1 student, so think about them, ask them. Turn to the person and ask them, are you legal here in America? And you'll be surprised. So think about those people, don't be selfish.
All right, I'd just like to thank you all for coming out today. And on behalf of the Student Senate, we really appreciate it. This is the first kind of this event that we've done. And I'm glad to see that we had a decent turnout I'm satisfied with. And thank you very much for being here. And once again, Student Senate offices are in ST, Kimberly? 221. And somebody's always in there. If you need help or support, please just come and see somebody. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, real quick, can my student senators stand up who are in the room? Student senators, stand up. I really want us to really see if you were sitting in the office today, you would know how proud we are of them. I mean, they were working hard since Sunday. We were all on group chat on Sunday talking about ideas, what to discuss, how is this hurting our students. So I especially want to give you all a thank you so much, because this is not the first, I mean this is the first, but this is not the last. So thank you all so much. Great job.